What's up, YouTube? Happy Tuesday to everybody. Hope everybody Tuesday is going good. Today, I'm going to be talking about the story of a man that is set to be executed within less than a week away. He's an African-American man that's from Oklahoma. But before I even get into that, let me say my copyright disclaimer real quick. And that's copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Now, this story is about Tremane Wood, someone who's been sentenced to death next week in 7 days. He's been on death row for the longest, I believe, almost 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I'm not going to say he's a wrongfully convicted man because he did participate in the crime, but I think the crime should fit the punishment. And from what I understand is that he had a brother that was there who admitted to guilt of this crime. Yet he was still sentenced to death, even after the admission of the actual perpetrator. So, but I'm gonna share two videos that's gonna give you more context than I can give you. But I personally feel as though he don't deserve to be executed. He should not be executed for this reason at all. This is another example of an unjust system that we have, an unjust era that needs to be corrected. But with the time so limited that we have, or short that we have, within less than a week, I'm not sure, much is going to be done about it. I wish a lot can be done, but I wish I had heard about this story a lot sooner. But I'm going to go ahead and share the two videos that I want to share first. I'm going to share one with his mother, who's going to explain the story, and then I'm going to share another video that I believe a content creator made. All right, here we go.
Covering news that matters. Fox 23 News at 9 starts right now.
An Oklahoma family is asking for help from the community and a change of heart from the Oklahoma Pardon and Parole Board and Governor Kevin Stitt as their loved one, Tremane Wood, seeks clemency from his execution that's less than 2 weeks away now. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Shay Rozzi.
And I'm Nathan Thompson. Glad you're with us. Wood was found guilty of a 2002 murder he says he did not commit, and his family says Tremane's brother did commit. Fox 23's Paris Rain joins us live after talking to the family. Paris, they had a news conference today, and they say they are running out of time.
They did. Nathan and Shay, Tremane's mom says they are in crunch time. He goes before the parole board on Wednesday and could be executed by lethal injection come November 13th if they can't get the board and the governor to understand why they believe this is wrong and unfair.
What a waste it would be. This can't be the end of my son's story.
This is Linda Wood's son, Tremane Wood, who she says is innocent of murder despite being put on death row.
They were going to do a robbery at a hotel. The girls took them to the hotel. They portrayed themselves as prostitutes. They took the guys to a hotel, and then my two sons came in. My one guy ran out of the room. The other guy, he stayed there and was fighting with my son, and my son stabbed him, my son Jake.
Tremane's older brother, Jake Wood, admitted in court to stabbing the victim during a 2002 robbery. Jake received life in prison and later died by suicide behind bars.
So that's the elder brother of Tremane, who's admitted to guilt of the murder that they're speaking on that Tremane is serving. He actually committed suicide while in prison as well.
But Tremane was sentenced to death after a 2-day trial, his mother says, without a proper defense.
My heart is broken for my son, not because of my son, but for my son. He's clearly lost 21 years of his life for something he didn't do. Did he deserve to be punished for his role in this? Absolutely, but not by death.
Even facing death, Linda says her son remains hopeful and focused on others.
I saw him yesterday, and he even 10 days out from possibly losing his life. His concern is still about others because he told me, he said, Mom, whether I live or whether I die, I want this to precipitate change, make it better for the inmates who are up for execution on death row after me.
Tremane's mother.
So that was a conversation she had with Tremane. So it's kind of like he's foreseeing his death if it comes to that. Like he's expecting it. He wants his death to bring about a change in the criminal justice system. And that's actually I actually commend that for real. And it's just sad that people like us, black and brown, we're just thrown into a system without a fair trial, because you're going to get to know more about that. And I'm going to get to that right now, actually.
Says her son isn't asking for freedom, only fairness. Wood's family and advocate Mario Johnson say Wood's trial attorney was impaired and unprepared, and they believe that alone should qualify him for clemency.
The attorney also basically came out and said that he was on abusing alcohol and also cocaine while he was representing him, and also didn't really.
So wait, his lawyer admitted to being on drugs and being drunk while representing him in this case. Can you believe it? This is crazy. That already violates the Sixth Amendment right to a fair trial and effective assistance of counsel, pretty much. So that's a constitutional violation. I feel as though he should not be executed because of that.
You have the time to put in to efficiently represent him. And based on that alone, he should get clemency from the Pardon and Parole Board and the governor.
True.
If clemency is denied, Tremane Wood's execution will move forward for November 13th. If you'd like to sign a petition or read more about this case, we have a link in this story on fox23.com. Live in the newsroom covering news that matters, I'm Pierce Rain, Fox 23 News.
Okay, so that was the end of that. Oh, hold on one second. I think it was more.
The Pardon and Parole Board to deny Wood clemency. It reads in part, quote, "We must secure justice for this heinous murder and prevent Wood from committing additional," quote, "We must secure justice." The Pardon and Parole Board to deny Wood clemency. It reads in part.
Sorry, y'all. I'm rewinding it to catch that last part.
News that matters. I'm Pierce Rain, Fox 23 News.
Oklahoma Attorney General Gettner Drummond issued a statement earlier this month urging the Pardon and Parole Board to deny Wood clemency. It reads in part, quote, "We must secure justice for this heinous murder and prevent Wood from committing additional acts of violence." Wood's actions on death row in recent years, including distributing drugs and having another inmate viciously beaten, prove that death is the only way to ensure the safety of Oklahomans.
So in response to that, usually in this type of situation, you will want to reach out to the Attorney General in this type of matter. But seeing as how he made that comment and he's actually the one that's spearheading this execution, it would not be a good idea to reach out to the Attorney General's office of Oklahoma. But there is a petition that I'm going to share as well. But I want to play this other video first, because it didn't tell the part that I wanted to share with you guys. Part of it did, but the part about the lawyer being drunk and high, as far as representing him, Lost for words.
Imagine being sentenced to death for a murder you were never proven to have committed, even when the person who took responsibility for the killing got a life sentence. That's the reality for one man sitting on death row in Oklahoma. This is the story of Tremane Wood and how Oklahoma plans to execute a man without ever proving that he killed anyone. In 2002, Tremane Wood and his brother Jake Wood, along with 2 women, were charged with first-degree murder in the killing of Ronnie Whip during a robbery gone wrong in Oklahoma City. But prosecutors did not have to prove who actually killed Whip. Under the state's felony murder law, all 4 were treated as equally responsible. Under the sweeping felony murder doctrine, anyone involved in a felony that leads to a death can be held criminally responsible for that death.
So I'm gonna pause it right here. So that's what his situation is. He was actually participating in a felony homicide, but he was not the one who actually committed the murder. It was actually his brother who did. But in a felony homicide, everybody gets life. I don't think that the death sentence is appropriate for a felony homicide, though, because he was not the actual person who committed the crime. I believe the death penalty should only apply to the ones who actually committed the crime and conspired to commit the crime or facilitate, pretty much. So when you put a hit out on somebody, that person also deserves to be treated equally as the person who's actually doing it.
Regardless of if they pulled the trigger or even intended for anyone to die. Nearly every state has some form of felony murder law, and Oklahoma is one of 21 states that allows felony murder convictions to be punished with a death sentence. And in the case of Tremane and Jake, a key factor behind who was sentenced to life and death came down to who was representing them in court.
It was pretty shocking to learn about the lack of investigation, the lack of preparation that took place in Tremane's case.
During the time that John Albert was representing Tremane Wood and other defendants in death penalty cases, he had been struggling in his personal life, and it had bled over to a great degree into his professional life. Clearly, someone who is suffering from substance abuse disorder, who is an alcoholic, who is abusing cocaine on a daily basis, is not the ideal person to represent someone in a death penalty trial.
Meanwhile, Jake was represented by an experienced team of death penalty public defenders.
You didn't get to know Tremane as a person. You didn't get to speak to his family. You didn't do any of that. While Jake over here had three lawyers that specialized in felony murder, and Tremane got someone that was strung out on drugs and alcohol.
So this is Tremane Wood's niece, but I want to go back to what they previously said about this lawyer. He had his law license suspended for admitting to this type of abuse or substance abuse that he was suffering for back in 2006. And he also admitted to that being high under the influence at the same time that he was representing Tremane Wood. So I really don't think he should be in jail at all. And this is not just with Tremane Wood, because it's that cases, so it's more than one. So I'm pretty sure that he had more clients on death row, or that he had a lot more death penalty cases other than Tremane Wood, but he was still representing people. So at this point, what should happen is that each and every one of those defendants that he represented should be allowed another trial, pretty much, a fair trial. Or relief, either or.
It's not fair at all.
Prosecutors only had to prove that Tremane took part in the robbery, but in court, they argued that he was the killer, and the jury sentenced him to death. One juror, the only Black person on the panel, said that she is haunted by the verdict.
I felt like he didn't have a fair trial.
So this is one of the jury members. This is the only Black juror that was on the trial, and she was the foreperson.
And I still feel bad to this day, because it would have made a difference. Whenever we was hung, the other jurors started complaining to me that they have to get home to their families and their kids, and that we need to hurry up and make a decision. It's very uncomfortable when you got a room full of people against you.
So did you hear that part? Mostly the jury was concerned about was getting home for dinner instead of deciding on this man's fate. And pretty much all those other jurors were Caucasian. They were not black because she was the only black member on the jury. But I want to take it back to what they said about the brother, Jake. He didn't have just one public defender. He had 3 who had a lot of experience. But yeah, he still ended up in prison. However, Tremane only has 1 who turned out to be a drunk and under substance abuse. And he gets sentenced. There's something wrong with that dynamic.
Tremane has spent over 2 decades on death row, and he is still fighting for his life.
Tremane is there because of a failing of the system, failing of society to protect this child who grew into a man who was then failed by the system. It's wrong.
Oklahoma has the highest execution rate of any state in the modern era. It also has a history of horribly botched executions and people being exonerated from death row. All this has resulted in growing momentum in the Oklahoma legislature, even among some conservatives, for an execution moratorium.
So yeah, as I said earlier, it has the highest. It's the number 1 state with the highest execution rate, but it also has the highest number of release as well. So it sounds like, wrongful convictions is pretty much the norm at that facility or in that state. I would say, I won't say that city, but that entire state.
Realized I could not support the death penalty in any case because I could not support the undeniable, unchangeable risk of executing an innocent person.
Whether you support capital punishment or you oppose it, one thing is clear. From start to finish, the Oklahoma capital punishment system is badly broken.
For Jake, Tremane's life had value. He loved him deeply. He felt responsible for Tremane being in the situation Tremane's in.
So I have a really big hole in my heart from Jake dying. And if Tremane dies, then that's 2/3 of my heart gone, and it's hard to live on 1/3 of a heart.
Imagine.
All right, so that's the end of that, guys. I'm also going to share this website that you guys can petition and sign. Give me 1 second. This is crazy. But this is an example of our broken criminal justice system that we have for over 400 plus years, and it's going to stay broken. Okay, this is actionnetwork.org. As you can see, they have the title is Stop the Execution of Tremane Wood in Oklahoma. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt and the Pardon and Parole Board is what attention to. This is all the information. Over here to the right, you have 4,174 signatures collected. They have a goal of 6,400, so they only need about 2,226. So yeah, if I can get everybody to, whoever viewed this, can you guys come over to this website and sign this petition, share it, repost it. Reach out to the local news station, Fox 23 in Oklahoma. Reach out to the governor's office in Oklahoma. I wouldn't reach out to the attorney general's office only because they're the ones who's actually prosecuting this man and trying to, they're advocating for his death and not against it. But yeah, I just wanted to get this story out because it's kind of sad to hear. And it's like this man has less than a week to live. So he's due back in court tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow is the 5th. Yeah, he's due back in court tomorrow. I want to see what that's about again. All right, so yeah, he has an argument tomorrow to make his case as far as why the death penalty should be off the table. This is crazy. I hope he has an experienced lawyer this go around for real. I hope everything works out. But if I can get some content creators to react, share, cover this story as well, we're stronger together than divided against each other. So yeah, if I can have you guys do that. But that's all I got for you guys. I just wanted to share that story with you. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Have a good one.